Morning. Hi, Lynn and Nancy. How are you? Michael, good morning. Well, 2 weeks ago, after we had our class, and then I taught another class, um, I actually planned my trip to Scotland. I think I may have mentioned it when I had my class 2 weeks ago that I was considering that. Like this window opened for me. And I asked my dad the day before, would you want to go? And then I started to look to see if it was possible for us to go. And anyway, after I finished teaching last 2 weeks ago today, I went back on and I got a flight for my dad and I to go to Scotland. And basically, 23 hours later, I was on a plane to Scotland. So last week, I wasn't here. I don't know if you came and you were able to watch any of my recorded recorded classes. I've never actually done that in the 10 years or 11 years I've been teaching. I've never, I usually don't ever miss anything. And I just knew that that was such an important thing to do. So I just didn't have a way to, I was with people all the time. So I didn't have a way to continue my classes because it's at night over there and it's just too disruptive for all the things we were doing. So anyway, sorry. I do have recorded classes. So if that ever happens in the future, there's so many classes are recorded. So if you show up at a time, it never happens, but if you show up at a time and I just didn't happen to be there, please still practice because practice is what we need to do for our body, our mind, and our soul. All right, Stevie, hello. So if does anybody have anything that's going on? I do want to say that when I travel, because I haven't been traveling lately, of course, we haven't. It's a huge thing to do, by the way. You have to have tests when you arrive. You have to have a test before you go. You have to have a test that's shipped somewhere to an address 2 days after you arrive. Then you've got to do that. And then before you get back on the plane, you got to take a test. So it's all this planning and all these tests and all this stuff. So it's not that easy, honestly. I thought, oh gosh, I don't think I'm going to do any recreational travel for a while because it was just too many hula hoops. And also I had my 92-year-old father. So even though he's amazing and super sharp mentally, he's still 92. So I had to be careful with him. All right. So does anybody have anything that's going on in your body? Anything you'd like to report or ask me about or share? I'm very into stretching and I'd like to focus a lot today on stretching your body glove because we are, bound and wrapped with connective tissue. And when we stretch, actually, they found that it releases hydration. So part of aging is dehydration and oxidation. Those are the two main chemical or biochemical processes. And when we stretch, we actually hydrate our tissue. So I'd like to focus today on creating space in your body, space in your joints, which will help them be more mobile. It will also help reduce pain and suffering. And if you have less pain, you're more likely to move. And when you move, things in motion stay in motion. So that's the goal. Carolyn, good morning. Okay, well, we will definitely stretch the low back, Nancy, and we'll stretch all of the aspects that lead to the low back because, all streams lead to the ocean and so much of our body shows up in that center place. And so, yeah, I think you're really going to like this. It feels really good to do some nice deep stretching. And with that, I'd also like to say that if you do have an issue, if you have an injury or an issue, be careful not to go too deep. Because if you have, let's say a knee joint or a hip joint or low back issues or upper back and neck, and then you stretch too much, you actually are poking the monster of pain and causing that aggravation and causing that protective, fierce response in the body to be triggered. So be really careful that you are in your body. That's why we begin our practice on the ground, closing our eyes, connecting to our breath, so we could go in and be very connected. That's a really important part of this. Okay, so I'm going to go back there. I'm actually going to get a bolster because I like to start with a bolster today. So gather some pillows or props of some sort. Oh, great. So grab some props. You could get a bolster or pillows. Let me get a couple of pillows for those of you that don't have a okay. So not everybody has bolsters. Actually, most people don't have bolsters. And many of us do have pillows. So I have a bolster here and I also have pillows. I think today I'll use pillows, but I wanted to say that you could also do this with a bolster. So get what you need. You're going to need a blanket. You're going to need a strap of some sort, a block, and pillows. Because we're going to do some nice like stretching of the body with props. And for those of you that have any kind of postural issues that you know of, meaning this in the body, any roundness, and let's do a little test. See how far forward my head is and how round my spine is? Let's do a little test. Take your arms out to the side. And if you can raise your upper arm, meaning the upper arm bone, without it being shoulders. So see if you can, and it's okay if you can't. If you're here, that's fine as well. What I want you to do now is I want you to turn to the side, and I want you to see, is your wrist over your elbow or is your hand forward? Wrist over the elbow, hand forward, and is your arm forward, the elbow forward of the shoulder, or are you able to get it in alignment with your side? And then keep taking the hands and pushing the hands back. Now this is shoulder joint and spine mobility or range of motion. It's going to reveal to you some potential tightness in the spine, tightness in the shoulders. And that tightness could either be something you could work and break up and correct, or depending on how long it's been there, how much dysfunction, sometimes the body calcifies or lays down harder tissue and gets stuck. So we can move some things, we can't move all. And the earlier you realize this, the better. So looking side to side, pushing your hands over your elbows, letting your arms come off your body, and noticing where you feel the tension. You probably will feel it somewhere here, or you might feel something in your spine here, or in your back muscles as you work to hold your body into this properly aligned position or towards an upright, erect, joint stacked and aligned position. So just stay here for a few seconds to see where you are. Again, if you want to look side to side, pushing the hands back to try to get them, you'll feel even more tension there. And this way, when you move the neck side to side, you actually help to release some of that neck tension that you may be experiencing. And then bring yourself back to center. Go ahead and bring your hands down. Notice what you notice there. By the way, this scarecrow arms position is a great way to work on your posture every day, to find scarecrow in your body. So we're going to start to move some of that part of us. If you could use blankets or you could use pillows. If you didn't have pillows and you maybe had one blanket, if you had one blanket, you would fold it up a small amount and put it underneath your chest, underneath your heart. If you have two blankets, you could fold one here and one there, or you could fold two on top of each other. I am going to use pillows to go across my chest. So I'm going to take pillows here, and this is going to go in this part of my body. So my head goes down. And then the counterindicated positions for this is anybody that has a headache, or if you have glaucoma, you want to be careful to not put too much pressure in the head. So if that was you, then I would say to put the block or to put the bolsters, the props underneath your knees as opposed to underneath your chest. And then we're going to come down onto the ground with this blanket behind this part of your spine. There's 12 bones here. And then you let your head go where it will and let your arms go up and over. Keep your knees bent at first, depending on how big of a supported back bend this is for you. And you need to feel your way into what's right. So
Elevating your head a little bit will make it less intense in your chest if that's what you need. So see if you need that. Now, I also want you to find length in your torso. So if you can, pick your pelvis up off the ground and then tilt your pelvis backwards so your low back moves towards the ground. So you have length in your low back as you then place your pelvis on the ground. And then the arms could go out to the side, or if you're able to put them a little higher, try to put your arms a little higher. Whatever you need to do to feel a stretch, maybe in the belly, maybe in the chest, maybe in the shoulders, maybe in all those places. We all have different aspects to our body. Take your feet a little wider than your body. Allow your knees to fall in towards each other. So you have a nice relaxed hip joint. And once you get to where you're going to get to, close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, let your back teeth separate, let your lips touch. Be nice and soft. Pick up your head, lengthen your neck so that what you feel in the back of your head is the center of the back of the head is touching the ground. Not the top of the back of the head, the center. So you actually have proper alignment in your cervical spine or the 7 bones of the neck. And notice where you feel the gentle stretch. So you don't want it to be too crazy. Let's make this more restorative in nature. And again, if you felt too much of a pulling in your body, elevating your head will take out some of that tension. So make sure the tension you're experiencing is appropriate. And then feel your body connected to the earth. Feel your soles of your feet on the ground, the left foot, the right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Bring your awareness to your buttocks, left tushy, right tushy, left tushy, right tushy, left, right. And then the center. This is the base of your spine, your sacrum. So feel the hardness of that bone and feel the weight and the support of your sacrum on the ground. They call the sacrum the sacred bone. The base of the spine, where in yogic wisdom, they say this is where your vibrant energy, your Kundalini Shakti, it's called, resides in the base of the spine. And a lot of the practices we do in yoga, some of the mantras, the mudras, and the physical kriyas or movements are to unlock and unleash this vital energy. So feel that solid, connected aspect at the base of your spine. Bring your awareness to your belly area, to the torso, in between the ribs and the pelvis. Maybe you feel a stretch here, stretching the body. Be very curious here. Actually, let's pay a little time to this area. Do you feel digestion? Do you feel the pancreas secreting enzymes? The liver doing the hundreds of jobs that it does? The kidneys filtering out waste products, toxins. The intestines, 22 feet, coiled in your belly. Do you feel digestion, absorption, assimilation? Do you hear or feel digestive sounds? If you do, that's a good sign. It's a sign that your body feels safe to digest. And then bring your awareness up to your heart, to your rib cage. Mouth is closed. Breathe in and out through your nose, deep breaths. Let your lungs, as they expand, stretch even deeper. The thoracic spine, and help to correct posture in your upper spine. Bring your awareness to your neck. Long, open, free. You could visualize something very expansive like a big field or the sky, a clear sky. Allow the breath to go up and down from your nostrils down into your chest, unobstructed. And create a slight restriction in your throat from the ujjayi breath, the ocean breath, where there's a slight restriction of the airways, so that as you breathe in and out, you feel or hear or sense a gentle whisper. Without feeling restricted, but rather realizing the control you have to open the airways, to gently restrict them, to pay attention to the whisper. And then bring your awareness to your nostrils. Feel the cool air on the perimeter of the nostrils. And follow the cool air in the nostrils. See how far up your nostrils you could feel the coolness of the air. Finishing up your last few breaths. Let's bring the breath all the way down to the belly. Last couple of rounds. And then finish up your last breath. Let's move into a full body stretch or a bigger stretch in your body. So if you close your eyes, let your body move, maybe straightening the legs if you can, if your low back feels okay. Then taking the arms, reaching them overhead if your shoulders will let you. And if you have shoulder issues and your shoulders don't feel comfortable reaching straight up above you, then you could reach straight out to the side or straight down with hands stretched, fingers reaching. Doing something to create even more stretch in your body. And then let's come into a 5-pointed star position. So spread your legs, spread your arms wide. If you can touch your hands to the floor, slide your fingers on the floor to reach away from you. And then pointing your toes or flexing your feet, reaching your heels away, whichever feels better for you. Really stretch here, like you were on a stretcher and you're creating this stretch here. Really stretching your body glove, feeling where you feel the tension or the stretch. Make sure that it's appropriate for you. And then take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and gently bend the knees. So I'd like to do a little bit of lower body movement with this behind our spine. And you're going to need to determine, I don't want you to be in such a deep stretch. I want there to be some thoracic extension here with a prop. So I'd like you to make a little bit more of a support for your head. So maybe that means folding the blanket one more time than what it was, or if you have a really big prop underneath you, like a bolster, maybe grabbing your block and putting your block underneath your head so that you have less of lowering of the head. I want less extension in the cervical spine. So put the blanket underneath your body, underneath your spine. Arms are out to the side. You could pick your pelvis up if you'd like to lengthen the low back. And then let's let the feet be wider than the body. Soles of the feet stay on the ground. And let's do a little side to side slowly here. As you start to stretch the hips, you start to stretch the side waist. And I want you to be in the place where you're staying safe, feeling and noticing what you're doing. So if you go slow, you're able to observe more. Just like driving a car, when you go 100 miles an hour, you barely could see what's on the side of the road. When you slow down to 5 miles an hour, you see everything. Slower is harder. When you move slower, it's harder. And it's harder for our mental energy, and it's harder because you're in something longer, and especially if the stretch is deep or the movement you're doing is pretty strong. And then start to let the soles of the feet come off the floor now. So you're going to go a little farther to the side. The goal is not to touch the floor. The goal is to let the knees move side to side and to stretch the waist and the hips. How close the knees get to the floor has to do with so many things. Your range of motion in the joint, the shape of your body, the health of your joints, the flexibility of your muscles and the other connective tissues, tendons and ligaments, your fascia, your level of hydration, your age. And bring yourself back to center. Let's take our feet really wide. Now we're going to be in the low back here. So for those of you with low back health, I want you to be in your low back. Sorry, for those of you with low back issues, I want you to be in your low back. And I want you to feel what feels appropriate. So feet are all the way off the mat and the soles of the feet begin on the ground. Let's take a big exhale. Inhale to let your knees go to one side. As you exhale to come back up to center, push your belly button strongly towards your spine, activating the core. Inhale to the other side, activating the core, pressing the belly button to the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Going side to side, inhaling, activate your core. The next time you come over to the left, stay there. Turn your head to the right. Lift your right arm off the ground, flex the wrist. You're barely lifting off the ground. You're really close still. And reach your right leg away from you and reach your right arm away from you. Feel that stretch on the right side of your body. Push your heart up towards the sky. Make sure you stay in the place of appropriate. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's slowly make our way over to the right side. Inhaling to arrive and then exhaling to relax. Turn your head to the left and then start to stretch the left hand away from you. Press the heart up towards the sky. Stretch the left side of your body. Deepen the breath, and that'll help to deepen the stretch. Take one more breath. And then slowly bring yourself all the way back up. Let's walk our feet back. We're going to roll onto a side. Any side will do. Cradle your arm, your head in your arm. Let's take that upper arm and do some clockwise, or sorry, it doesn't matter whether you go clockwise or counterclockwise. Do some movement with your arm, feeling a big stretch in your chest and shoulders. This is a big part of posture, and where posture, we get stuck and we get tight. Now, if your arm doesn't like to move in this big range of motion, you could try making just the elbow move around for those of you with shoulder issues. And if anything is uncomfortable for you, don't do it. So both knees are to the side. You're moving your arm, and then go ahead and go in the opposite direction. When we move the joints, we actually bring in lubricating fluids. So it makes it easier to stretch deeply when you have moisture in your joints, when you have fluids coursing through your vessels into your tissues. And then we're going to do a little bit to rotate our trunk and to stretch our thoracic spine. So let's take both hands behind your head, clasping your hands behind your head. Have your knees facing in the direction of the direction you're facing in. And then you're going to inhale, keep one hand on the ground, one hand reaching up, exhale to close. Inhale to open, exhale to close. Continue breath with movement. Make sure you're tall. So as you open up your elbow to the back, you also lift it up. So it's lifting up and back to bring some length into your thoracic spine and your upper torso. This can help with low back health because sometimes there's a lot of compressive force and a lot of tightness pressing down in the back. This is a way to create more space. And we're also rotating the thoracic spine, which can be good for stress management. Stay open the next time you come open. There's a lot of parasympathetic nerves that travel through the thoracic spine. And when we do rotation, we stimulate the relaxation zone inside the body. Also, the gentle pulling that's happening in the spine is a way to strengthen your spine bones. Feel the stretch. Maybe you feel something underneath your armpit. Really reach that elbow away from you to feel that stretch underneath the armpit. A lot of lymphatic vessels here and blood vessels and nerves. So good for immunity, for circulation, for your nervous system, hormones. Take one more breath. And then bring your arm out. We're going to go to the other side. So I'll have my back towards you. You can see some of the backwards movements. You're going to come on to your side here and beginning with the arm, moving the arm around in whatever range of motion feels good for you. Maybe at first the circles are a little more gentle, and then you can start to explore going a little farther. You're stretching with movement, and you've got to feel your way into whatever feels appropriate. And then if you had shoulder issues or if it didn't feel good for your body, you could move the elbow around. Close your eyes and feel your way around. And then go in the opposite direction. Finishing up your last movement. Clasping the hands behind your head, bring the elbows towards each other, exhale. Inhale to open up your elbow to the side. Exhale to close. Close your eyes and feel how this stretches all the way down to your pelvis. Stretching from maybe the arm or the armpit all the way down to the waist. See if you feel it in your spine, shoulders, low back, upper back. Feel that stretch underneath your armpit. Really reach the elbow away. On your next time you come open, stay there. Reaching your elbow to the side and up, so high and to the side. Breathe down to your torso. Take one more breath. You're going to bring yourself up to seated. So bring yourself all the way back. Open up your hand on the ground in front of you. Push your hand into the floor like crazy. And bring yourself up to a seated position. Or up from the ground. So we're going to do a little flowing movement. We started to do movement in the shoulder joint to release tension in the shoulder joint. Now we're going to come into a little flow to stretch the body. When we use body weight to stretch the body, we actually get a deeper stretch. And so pay attention to the areas that you have issues. If you have any joint issues, back, hips, knees, neck, upper back, pay attention as we flow through this. We're going to do a flow. I want you to go slow because flowing through joints, especially if you're aging, so let's say out of your 40s, you got to be really careful. And we want to notice our patterns when we move. So make sure that if there is dysfunction, that we actually pay attention to the way that we're moving in our joints so we can correct some of our dysfunction. Because when joints are not in alignment, that's when wear and tear happens.
And the longer that goes on, that contributes to more arthritis, more arthritic involvement, and more pain and suffering in your joints. We want to be careful that that doesn't happen. So let's take our blankets on the ground, take your pillows or prop, whatever you have here in front of you. I'd like to say one thing here is that if you do have osteoporosis, one thing you definitely do not want to do is this. Because if you have osteoporosis in your spine, rounding your spine, letting your low ribs come closer to your pelvis or to the legs will actually put more pressure on the front of the spine and can contribute to vertebral fractures. So if you have osteoporosis, when we do the backward movement, some of you can come all the way into child's pose if you don't have osteoporosis. And if you have osteoporosis, you'll come into tushy in the air and less bend in the knee joint. So this is osteoporosis. This is not osteoporosis if you can get down into child's pose, okay? And the goal of that is to stretch the spine, to move the buildup of arthritic deposits from the spine, get them to go back into the system to be metabolized and delivered back to your bones, hopefully, because we get the minerals out of our bones when we're out of alignment, contributing to bone density loss. And none of us want that. So we want those minerals to move and to not get hard and to not calcify. And then, of course, stretching our body so we can find that nice alignment in our body. So this is going to be a flow. We're going to begin either in the puppy dog or in the child's posture. The hands are forward, palms are open. You're going to bring yourself forward. Once your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders are on top of each other, that's when you'll bend your elbows in towards your body, lowering down. Having the prop there is nice and helpful. And then when you lift up, you're going to lift up first from your head, then your thoracic spine, then your lumbar spine. So you want to go slow here. We move forward. Once the joints are stacked, we bend. Keep your head up. Don't let your head flop. You come down. You lift up. Just feel that stretch in the belly, and then you come back. Let's move with breath. Let's begin in child's pose or puppy dog. Take a big exhale. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Inhale, open your throat, rise. Exhale, move back. You inhale to unbend the joints and open the body. You exhale to bend the joints. Inhale to open. Exhale. Inhale, lower down. Inhale. And move at the pace of your breath. The next time you come back, let's take one more movement through that whole little flow. Come back and stay back. If you're in child's pose, I want you to come up into puppy dog. So if your tushy is near your heels, let your hips and knees unbend a little. To bring your tushy into the air, let your forehead rest on your prop. Hands are straight, palms are on the ground. Take a big exhale here. Inhale to bring yourself forward, arms stay straight. Let your pelvis come closer to your props. Open up your throat, go into a back bend, into an up dog shape. Exhale to come back, bending your hips. Keep your awareness on your hips. Your knees are bending too, but your hips are bending a lot. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Try to feel that stretch between your belly and your back, between the lower ribs and the top of the pelvis. Let the hip joint bend and unbend to stretch your body. One more. And then bring yourself up for a second. See how you feel. I love doing movement, and I also understand how important it is to move safely. Let's do chest expansion. So you're going to take a hold of, if you can grab your hands together, palms are together, you could try that. Maybe your palms need to be a little bit apart, or maybe you could try to grab your wrists or your elbows. Do something where you feel a stretch on the front of the shoulders and a stretch of the chest. This is called chest expansion. It's also an extension position, a back bend in the upper spine. If you can, hold on to your elbows or your hands, lift your arms up a little, push your chest forward, open your throat, feel your shoulders stretch, feel your chest stretch. And then be tall here. Push your legs into the ground. Point your tailbone down towards the ground, and then lengthen your spine, one vertebra, one disc, one vertebra, one disc, one vertebra, one disc. Open your throat, look up, deep breaths down to your feet, to your knees, to your legs. One more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. I want to stretch the upper back here. So we're going to do a position called thread the needle. And what's happening when we thread the needle is the pelvis will stay forward. If you had lights here, they stay forward. And then the chest is what rotates. So we're going to be on the ground. One arm will be lifted. The other hand will thread through to the other side so that you're taking this upper part of your body and twisting it to the side. Okay, so here's the position of it. You could use your prop here to support your head. Both hands begin forward, and then we thread one hand through. You could rest your head on your prop here, and you're trying to rotate your chest through. The hand that's on the ground pushes into the floor. You could come up onto fingertips on this hand, and this hand rests on the floor, but not the shoulder. It's the back of the hand or the wrist that's pressing into the floor, and you're trying to rotate the upper body. Feel that stretch behind where the shoulder blades are. Stretching the middle of the upper back. Thread the needle. Deep breaths here. Take one more breath. And then we're going to go to the other side. So start with your arms straight. Take one hand, thread the hand through to the other side. You could rest your head on your blanket. Push the back of the hand into the ground. Rotate your body. Your upper body is rotating. Feel that. Press your hand into the ground. Feel the stretch in the upper back. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Sit on your heels if your knees will let you. Otherwise, stay up on your shins. Shake your hands. Be okay with whatever it is you have. Let's take our prop and move our props off to the side. So we're going to do a stretch for the psoas, which is attached to the lumbar spine and attaches to the leg bone. It's a pretty deeply set muscle. And this can have a big effect on back health. So we will need a block for this. And let's bring our right leg forward. Now, this can pose some balance issues for some of you. So when you do have your leg forward like this, if you take your foot over to the side, it'll be a little bit more stabilizing. And then for those of you that want the challenge of balance and feel pretty strong, you could actually take your foot closer to the center, and you'll notice that there's a lot more, your body's trying to figure out where is it in space. A lot on that opposite hip. This is my hip replacement side, so it's definitely a little bit more challenging for me to be up on that side. Okay, so bring your leg forward, and what I'd like you to do here is make sure that this foot, the ankle, is forward of the knee. And remember, walk it to the side if you need more, or walk it center if you want a little bit more challenge. And then you're resting on this leg that's on the ground. For those with knee issues, if this feels intense on your knee, you could actually fold up extra blankets or grab your prop if you had a pillow and have your knee on your pillow. But we're gonna move off of that. That's the goal, is to move away, to come forward, so you're not quite as weighted on the kneecap there. So let's take our hands on our front thigh. So the right foot is forward. Inhale and exhale. Push the foot into the floor and the other foot into the floor. And then on the next inhale, you're going to come forward, really stretching that psoas. Exhale to come back up. Inhale forward. Keep your throat open. Lift your ribs away from your pelvis. Open your throat. Be proud in your chest. Lift your heart. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. If you want a little bit more, you could take the left hand down alongside your body. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Go slow. The right hand is going to be nice and stabilizing here. Will help with balance, will help with support. Inhale forward. And one more. Inhale forward. Stay here. Now we're going to come down a little lower. So this is where you may need to use your block. You could take your block here. You could walk your right foot over to the side a little bit more. It's going to give a little bit more inner thigh stretch on that right. You take your block on the high level. You could take it on the medium level. You could take it on the low level. You could bring both hands onto the block. Keep your spine nice and long. Or if you feel pretty flexible, you could bring your hands onto the ground. Make sure you don't round your spine. So if you go into rounding your spine to get down with your upper body, that's not beneficial. So if your spine rounds, you're better off being on top of a prop, so you can keep your spine nice and long. And then for some of you, I don't know if you can, but you could go down onto your forearms if you're pretty bendy. Feel that stretch in the back of the back leg, and you've walked your right leg over to the right. Now point your right toes out to the right like a duck. So you have an external rotation in your right foot. My right foot is pointing out to the side, and that's going to stretch the inner thighs. And we're weight bearing on the muscles of the pelvis. Sometimes these muscles pull on the pelvis and contribute to low back issues or tightness in the body. Take one more breath. And then to come up, take your right hand back on top of your thigh, push both feet into the ground, push the right hand into the right leg, and bring yourself down. And then let's take a rest between, from that side to the other. Noticing how you feel. Really developing that inner knowing, that inner intelligence. And then let's go to the other side. So have your block handy, bring yourself up and bring the left foot forward and start to walk the left foot a little bit more forward. Then find what you need. Do you need to take your left foot to the left for a little bit more stability? Or can you be either neutral or slightly towards center to give you a little more challenge. Take your hands onto your thighs. Take an inhale and an exhale. And on your next inhale, you're going to let your whole body move forward as your front knee bends more. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Keep your throat open. Keep your chest lifted. Keep your ribs moving away from the pelvis. Notice what you notice. Hip joint flexion, knee flexion. If you'd like to let the right arm be a part of this, inhale forward and exhale back. Stretching the upper part of the psoas and the lower part. And smile. Next time you come forward, stay forward. Feel that deep stretch in front of the right thigh. Breathe. Feel that stretch maybe in your belly. And then we're going to come into the deep stretch here. So bring your block forward wherever you need it. Let's take the left leg over to the side and slightly externally rotated, pointing the left foot out to the side. Bring your hands onto your block wherever it is appropriate for you, whichever, the highest, the middle, the lowest, or on the ground or in the forearms. And take one more breath. Take your hand on your thigh, push your foot into the ground, hand onto the thigh. Slowly bring yourself up. Bring yourself into a rest position, whatever that looks like for you. Because I know some of you cannot bend your knees like this, so this is not resting. So I'd like to do a little strength move here. We're in a perfect position to do a plank. So you're going to decide whether you want to do the full plank with your arms straight, or you could use your block and do a dolphin version or forearm plank, whatever is appropriate for you. We're going to do this for a minute, and I'll time us for a minute. And if you'd like to come down before that, feel free. Take your hands onto the ground. Palms are spread, pointer fingers are forward. Take one foot back, push back so you really stretch your calf, and then do the same thing with the other. Get your feet ready for this. And then let's come into this. Flip your toes under, bring your legs back into the full plank, whatever variation you're going to do. Bring your awareness to your hands and press the fingertips into the ground. Don't let your head flop, so keep your head up nice and strong here as well. And then bring your awareness to your fingers, pressing your fingers into the ground. Press the part of your hand where your fingers become the palm. Push away from the ground. Feel that strength. Bring your awareness to the feet, to the right foot. Make sure that all 5 toes are touching and push the right heel back. And then the left toes and the left heel. And then both heels. Now push the toes into the ground and feel like you're sliding them up towards your hands. Feel how that deeply activates the deep flexors in the body. Don't let your head flop. Last breath. And then go ahead and come down. Let's put the knees on the ground. Take the hands forward. Come into a puppy dog. So the hands are forward, the arms are straight. Walk your hands back just a little bit. You want your tushy to be able to be right above your calves or your heels. And then let the forehead touch if you can. Widen your arms, walk them a little wider, and keep your hands nice and open. Feel that stretch underneath the
armpits, push your heart towards the ground. Okay, for those of you with osteoporosis to do this because you're not bending your spine and you're supporting your head, let your forehead touch. And then push your heart towards the ground. Take one more breath.
And then let's bring yourself up. We're going to come down onto the ground now, do some stretching on the ground. So let's take your blanket, put your blanket to the top of the mat. For those of you that would like to stretch your feet, come on to your toes. So in a squat position, you're on top of your toes for those that can. Be on top of your toes at first, and don't put your soles on the ground yet. You're on your toes. Take your hands onto the inside of your legs. Palms are together, push your legs away. And then if you'd like to flatten the soles of the feet, if you can, push your heels into the ground. So stretching the inner thighs, some of the aspects of the pelvis here. Of course, you need your knees to bend for this, and some knees don't like to bend. And then let's go ahead and come out of that. So for this next part of the practice, we're going to need the strap and the block, so make sure you have that before you come down onto the ground. Your blanket is at the top of your mat. You're going to come onto your buttocks. Take your hands, we'll do a tabletop before we go down to stretch the front of the body one more time, which is going to help with posture, help move the bone deposits that we don't want to become hard. So keeping ourselves nice and soft and pliable. So you have your fingertips pointing towards your tushy. If your wrists are okay, if you need to modify, you can let your hands go out to the side. So play with what your wrists tell you is okay to do. Spread your fingers. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, push away from the floor. Inhale to lower. Exhale, push away from the floor. Inhale to lower. One more time. Exhale, push away, stay here. Really push your rib cage up towards the sky. Try to come into a tabletop position. Don't let your head flop. If it hurts your upper neck area or upper back, tuck your chin towards your chest. Really lift the pelvis up. Push the chest up. Feel that stretch in the front of the shoulders. One more breath. And then bring yourself down. Ready to come down onto the ground. So come to the side. Bring yourself down. Take your wrists and shake your wrists. Take your hands together like this. Just move them around. And then let's stretch the wrist. Arm is straight. Palm is facing you. Pull or push the hand towards your body. And then flip the palm up. Push the palm towards your shoulder. Feel that stretch on the forearm. Same thing on the other hand. You're going to push the palm towards your body. And then push the palm and the fingers towards the ground, stretching the forearm. Let's get the strap. Put the strap on your belly. Bring your legs into your chest. Let's bend and straighten the legs one at a time, stretching the hamstring. And then take the left foot on the ground, right foot in the air. Take the strap on the right arch. So close to the center, maybe a half of an inch towards the toes. And then let's warm up that leg. So get the sole of the foot to point straight up towards the sky. Make sure the whole sole is pointing up towards the sky and try to get it as nice and even as possible. So it's not just the pinky edge that's touching or reaching up towards the sky.
It's a whole soul. Then you're going to inhale to bend the knee, exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend, exhale to straighten. Inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. One more. Stay here. Stay here. Keep your legs straight. If there's a slight bend in the knee, that's okay. Want you to be at a place where you feel a stretch. Pull the strap down and then start to draw the leg towards the wall behind you to where you feel a stretch behind your thigh. And let it be whatever's appropriate for you. You could have a bend in your knee or not. Take one more breath. Now let's take the tension out of the leg. Let's move the foot back and forth so the kneecap stays where it is. You're not moving the leg, you're moving the ankle joint. You're pulling on one strap, pulling on the other. Pull on one, pull on the other. The entire leg is staying stationary. You're pulling on the pinky toe edge, trying to dip the pinky toe edge side of your foot down. Then you're pulling in the arch, trying to dip the arch down. There's more range of motion here. And you're going to see the sole of your foot is going to turn towards the side. You don't get as much range of motion in this way. And move yourself side to side. This is what's going to keep you able to dance and balance and injury prevention if you do slip, trip, or fall. And then bring the strap up to the widest part of your foot. So look at the widest part of your foot and let the strap go there. Pull down on the strap so you've got some tension with a very slight bend in your knee. So maybe even with the slight bend, you already feel a little bit of a stretch. Take an exhale. Inhale. And then exhale, straighten your knee, pull the strap towards you. Inhale to bend the knee. Exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend. Exhale to straighten. Inhale to bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Stay here. Pull the toes down towards you. Feel that stretch behind your thigh, all the way down to the tushy maybe as you stretch the whole back of your leg. And then let's bend. Take the strap off. Bring the strap on your belly. Rest here. Let's draw the other leg in, the left leg, and take the strap and put the strap on the foot. Try not to lasso. You always want to be as close as you can get and place the strap on your foot because you need to be able to get close to your feet for a lot of the things we have to do every day, like get dressed, and then every few months or every 6 weeks or whatever to cut your toenails. To clean your toenails. So let's do a little here to warm up that leg. You're going to inhale to bend, exhale to straighten. Inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. How hard you pull the strap is up to you. And then stay here. Pull the strap towards you. We're going to straighten. So straighten the leg if that's appropriate for you. If having a slight bend feels better for you, we're going to pull the strap down and then draw the leg back. So feel that stretch behind your hamstring, whether the leg's straight or not. It really depends on what is good for your body. Take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and bring your leg back up. Let the tension go out of your leg, so shake it if you need to, unbend your leg, whatever. We're going to go to the ankle joint. So you want to keep the whole leg stationary. Don't let it move a lot. Watch your kneecap, because this is not about the leg going back and forth. This is the ankle joint. So if you have a strap, you pull on the strap. So if you pull on the strap where the arch is, your foot will actually dip towards that side. And you'll feel the stretch on the opposite side of the ankle joint. And then you pull on the strap in the other hand, and you feel the inner ankle, or maybe even other parts of your leg. This is where a lot of the body's balance takes place. The ankle joint moving side to side like this, because everything is arranged above this joint. This is where then the knee joint gets arranged, and the hip joint, and the pelvis, and the spine, and the shoulders, and the head. So it's really important to have this part of your body very receptive, stretched, not congested, pliable, receptive. So go slow and feel it. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's do the calf stretch. So you're going to bring the strap to where the widest part of your foot is. So not on the toes, on the widest part of your foot below the toes. You'll begin with a slight bend in your knee. Take an inhale and an exhale. And then inhale. And as you exhale, straighten the leg. Come into a deep calf stretch. Inhale to release. Inhale barely. Don't unbend your leg so much. Just unbending will take tension out. Inhale to unbend. Exhale to bend. On your next one, hold it. Pull the strap towards you. Feel the tension wherever you feel it. Really straightening the knee, pulling the strap towards you will intensify the stretch. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out of that. Draw the knees into the chest, rock side to side. So we're going to end with a little inversion, and this inversion is good for lowering the blood pressure and the heart rate. It's also good to stretch the low back, or the place between the pelvis and the lower ribs. So you're going to take a block, push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, and place your pelvis on the block. And then if you want to add a little posterior tilt or a little more space, you could actually lift your pelvis up and place the top edge of your pelvis on the block, and then let the rest of the pelvis settle on the block. Make sure your blanket is not too high here, because you are in an inversion. So if it's pretty high and your head's lifted up and you feel crunched here, that's going to collapse your chest. So unfold the blanket, maybe one or two, or take it away. And then press your heart up towards the sky, your shoulder blades towards each other. Let your arms go out to the side. Deep breaths here. You can close your eyes if you'd like. If you'd like to bring your legs up towards the sky, you could bring either your knees up or your legs, finishing with a bigger inversion, bringing all the blood back up to the heart, the head, letting the nervous system settle. And take 3 more breaths. When you finish your 3rd breath, go ahead. Let your legs come back down. Let your legs settle. Take a big deep breath here. Reach for the block. Take the block out to the side. Bring your pelvis back down onto the ground and draw the knees into your chest. Rocking side to side to massage the low back. We're going to prepare for the Shavasana. So whatever that means for you. So you take yourself into Shavasana, whatever variation you like. You could bring your prop back underneath your knees or come to a extended position with your body stretched out on the ground. Stay connected to your breath. Let everything you did today in the practice integrate into your cells, your soul, your body, your mind. Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hariyam Kariyam Diname Akame 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 Govinde Mukande Udare Apare Hari
Kariyam, Kariyam, Diname Akame, Govinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Diname Akame, Govinde, Mukande, Udare, Apare, Hariyam, Kariyam, Diname Akame.
Gently begin to deepen your breath. Start to move your fingers and your toes. Allow that movement to go up into the arms and the legs. Drawing your knees into your chest, rocking side to side, and then all the way onto your side. As you push away from the floor to come up to a seated position, try to keep yourself in the very internal space, keeping the eyes closed. Let's close our practice with sound, bringing the energy from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head with the sound of the letter M, mouth closed, lips vibrating. Take your hands together, thumbs touch the sternum bone, press the chest into the hands into the chest. Nice tall spine. Take an exhale to create space. An inhale to fill up. Bowing in gratitude, in recognition. Namaste. Hopefully you feel good and you stayed in the place of appropriate range of motion for your body as we moved through a lot of those stretches today. I feel really mellow and very stretched. Hi, Martha. Nice to have you. You're welcome, everyone. Nancy, I hope that was good for your low back. Michael, great. Thank you so much. Hope that was good for you all. Back here tomorrow for osteoporosis at 11, much stronger physical class. If you want to join me, whether or not you have bone density issues or not, we do postures in yoga. They're just kind of targeted towards the bones, and we all have bones. So we could all use it, whether we're losing the density in them or not. We all need strong bones. Great, Carolyn. So good to be back. Lynn, hi. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm off to prepare for my next class, Stevie. Thank you so much, and I'll see you whenever I see you. Bye, everyone.